Welcome, everybody. I'm so glad you are joining us tonight. My name is Ben Van Vliet. I'm the Executive Director of the Upper Valley Music Center, and we're here tonight with you to introduce Zoomberry, an adventurous online choral ensemble for uncommon times. We're going to talk with Zoomberry creator and director Patricia Norton and take your questions live. So before we begin, a few logistics. If you would like to ask a question, please use the comment section wherever you are watching, for example, Facebook or YouTube. Feel free to try out the comment feature right now by telling us who you are and where you're watching from. That will help us see the room and shape the content to you. We'll get to as many questions as we can. It's also helpful to know that there's a little bit of delay between when you make a comment or question and when it shows up for us. And if we get to the end of the evening and somehow we haven't answered your particular question, we invite you to email or call us at juneberry@uvmusic.org or 603-448-1642, which is the main Upper Valley Music Center phone number. Since March, the COVID-19 pandemic has changed our world considerably. And singing in a large group, the essence of choral music, is one of the activities that is now too risky to do in person. I'm not sure if anyone has ever put the words risky and choral music in the same sentence until now. Here we are. While we don't know how long the pandemic will last, it looks like that choral rehearsals won't be able to resume in person for a while. And as we began contemplating a year without in-person choral singing this summer, we realized that we didn't want to let the pandemic take away all the music making. So for choral singing, and for all Upper Valley Music Center programming in general, we've adopted the approach that while we can't replicate in-person activities online, we can design new music making activities that take advantage of the unique features of online programming, so that while we wait to return to the in-person activities that we love, we can have new and fulfilling musical adventures in the meantime. Patricia Norton, the director of the Juneberry choral program at UVMC, was really integral to developing this approach for the Upper Valley Music Center. And so it should be no surprise that she has taken the concept and conceived of a one-time only, innovative, imaginative choral program called Zoomberry that will take place this year. So I'd like to welcome Patricia. It's great to have the opportunity to talk with you about Zoomberry and to take questions from everybody out there. And when you create something that's totally new, that transcends our, quote, normal ideas about what choral singing is, I think it takes some time to wrap your mind around what it is and how it works. Mm-hmm. And so hopefully tonight, by talking through the idea and answering questions, we can help everybody listening imagine how they might be part of Zoomberry. So Patricia, could you just start us off and tell us a little bit about how you came up with Zoomberry?
Sure. Thanks, Ben, and thanks for the introduction. And hi to everybody. I love seeing your names roll up on the chat. I can see that as we go. It's really neat to see all the people who are here. I suppose I can't say hi to everybody personally, but you can feel this personal hello. Hello. It's really good to see you. And the idea of Zoomberry, I have to first give credit to Alicia Casey, Ben's wife, for the name Zoomberry, because I was putting out that this is my idea. And what could I call a group like this? Because it's not the Juneberry Community Chorus. The Juneberry Community Chorus is on hiatus. Because we can't do that kind of choral music right now that we love so dearly, and I can't wait to get back to. But in the meantime, as I was thinking about, well, what did I really want to do? I started with the question of what would be exciting to me? What would call me to a Zoom rehearsal? What would call me to yet another online, on-screen thing and be something that I couldn't wait for. And it started really with the music. What kind of music could I make? And what kind of music could we make as a large group that I couldn't make alone? Because, I can sit and play guitar and play piano and sing to myself all day long. And that's lovely. I love doing that, right? That makes me very happy. But there's a kind of music that you make when you're connected with other people that's on a different, it's a different thing. It's a different animal. And I love it. And so I started with music that would really call to me. And I started thinking about, well, what are the barriers? What are the things that we can't do now? And there's a Robert Frost quote, which I meant to look up before we gathered tonight, but it's about writing, and I didn't look it up, obviously. It's about writing poetry, and he compares it to playing tennis without a net, that poetry, free verse is like playing tennis without a net, and what's the point in that? And I was thinking, well, in some ways, this time is like having 2 nets all of a sudden. And what does the game of tennis look like with 2 or 3 or 4 nets? What game do we shape around that playing field? And I thought first about, well, maybe we could do things together. I didn't want to do just virtual choirs. Virtual choirs are wonderful and they have a place. But to me, they're not as fulfilling in some ways. They don't fill the gap. And so I thought, well, we could get together masked and distanced, and we could do body percussion, and we could hum. And that thought got me connecting with a friend of mine whom I met doing Omega circle singing with Bobby McFerrin. And Claudia Rajarnato is this amazing tap dancer and body percussionist. And she can't be with us tonight because she's at the Detroit Jazz Festival. She's performing there. But she has this incredible rhythmic sense. She works with beginners as well as experts. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I could do a piece together with her? Because that's something that I can't do ordinarily. She lives in New York City.
Yeah. And that's actually one of the silver linings of this Zoom era that we're in.
Yeah.
We can connect with people who normally we couldn't have as part of a program that we're doing. And Claudia is one of those, but there's some other folks that you're bringing in as well. Could you tell us a little bit about the other guests?
Yeah, and before I do that, let me just give a heads up to people that if you're watching this on the UVMC website and you want to chat and ask a question, which we would love, otherwise we're making it up as we go, then you can click over to watch on YouTube, and then that gives you access to the chat. And you can do that right from the UVMC website. So Joey Blake is going to come. He's a voice professor at Berklee College of Music. Has this amazing voice. He has both the lowest bass notes, and he goes up, I think, higher than I can. He can sing all the way up in his falsetto. He covers. So he has this rich, rich voice, and he's going to come give us a special workshop on resonant humming, because one of the pieces that we're going to do is a piece that's just hummed the whole way through. We're going to record it on audio, and then the audience that's watching the film, which I haven't even talked about yet, the audience is going to get to sing along with our humming. And we'll also be humming for one of the body percussion pieces. And so being able to hum with a resonant full space is going to be a technique that we probably need to polish up. And Joey's going to come give us a special masterclass in resonant vocal sound. And so the film.
Yeah, so it's something interesting as you're thinking through this process, I know, is figuring out how do you culminate a project. Usually we all pack into a concert hall and fit as many bodies in the room as we're allowed to, and then sing.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's one of the things that's kind of off limits right now.
Right.
And so I think you came up with a really fascinating way to conceive of what it means to finish this project.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
So I was thinking that one of the things that I love about choral singing is the chance that we get to share at the end. We work and we work and we work through the term, and we practice and we develop all of this, and then we get to share it with our friends and with our family and whoever else wants to come. And there's an incredible energy and synergy that's created in those live performance moments. And I was thinking, well, as you said, we can't do that. What could we do instead that allows us to share it with people? And so that brought me to the idea of doing a film. As I said, virtual choirs to me, they're an important part, and they're lovely. And it's wonderful to hear the harmonics, but I wanted to hear more of the story of what do you do when you're a choir and you can't get together in the same way? And how do you try singing? So one of the pieces we're going to do is a piece that's actually composed to be sung on Zoom with lag and with mic choosing and with watching a video at the same time, all this going on. How do you make music there? How do you do a virtual choir? How do you do body percussion and humming? How do you sing with a mask? How do you make music masked and together? And then one of the things we always have that's important to me in our concerts, the choral concerts, is audience participation. So given that we weren't going to have an in-person concert, how do I get the audience involved? So the thought was, what if we do a film? What if we do a documentary that describes this process and the evolution of this whole idea and follows the chorus through learning how to make music and through struggling with the tech and figuring out how to do the virtual choir and figuring out how to learn the body percussion and how to sing with masks on and how to hum and how to build a community with all these barriers in place. So a filmmaker who tracks that journey with us, and then at the end of the film, we have this humming piece. We're going to hum Amazing Grace, and the audience will have the words, because it's a film, the audience will have the words coming across the screen, kind of like karaoke or a lyric video, have the words coming across the screen, but the chorus won't sing the words because we're in effect masked. But the audience who's at home watching it, which will include the chorus members, right, at some point, can then sing the words and the melody the whole way through.
When you first painted that picture for me, I was just really struck by what a powerful reaction to this moment it is, because it sums up in music, in time, in a performative context, all the barriers we have, how we're forced apart, how we're trying to overcome that, how music can be the thread that continues to connect us, even in spite of all these challenges. And I get chills like thinking about that moment when Amazing Grace starts playing, really.
Yeah.
And I also have to say, oftentimes art is a reaction to the world we live in, and it in either through creating something new or for choosing a piece that's been created, but choosing to sing or play this piece at a certain time. But this idea of combining the music and the filmmaking really seems like it becomes a really interwoven document of this year that we're going to be living through.
Yeah.
And just how powerful that is. It's like somehow a concert, but many times over in much more depth. And I think I can't think of another choral project that has all of those different dimensions to it that I've seen or heard of before.
We're all going through this incredibly difficult time.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. Art is responding to that. One of the things I was thinking about, the fact that it's a longer term than usually a choral term is. We're going from September all the way into the beginning of March. Mm-hmm. And that will be the end of our rehearsing time. But I was thinking that part of what I wanted for myself during this time was some stability, something that happens week after week after week, something that gives me a sense of structure and reliability.
Yeah.
At the same time, because I feel like that's a need right now, for me at least. There's so much in chaos that I need something that feels reliable and sort of solid.
Mm.
But then there's also this huge desire to express, to cross these barriers, to connect. And you know, as I was choosing the music, part of what matters to me in singing in a chorus is singing music that, well, first it has to be music that I love, because I'm going to be with it for more than the 17 weeks, right? Because I'm working on it before the chorus ever starts.
Yep.
So it has to be music that really resonates with me, that I love to, and it's complex enough and interesting enough to hold my attention. But it also needs to speak to the heart in some way. And I feel like the music that we're going to be doing speaks that way.
So let's talk a little bit more about the music now. And you've mentioned before now a few of the different components, but could you talk about your vision for the different musical components for this chorus? And I think it's fascinating how different they are and how they come together to create the whole.
Yeah, sure. So, and I love seeing that Catherine Babbitt says, I need structure and joy. So I'm not the only one out there. Yeah, thank goodness.
We all do.
Yeah, so my thought is that there are 5 pieces and that the film will be interspersed. And Anna, I want to just shout out Anna King, who is our filmmaker, and say how delighted I am to be working with a local filmmaker, a local up and coming new filmmaker. She's somebody who is, she's 16 years old. She's a powerhouse, and she's creating these. I've seen some of what she's created already. There and she's saying hello in the chat, A&B Studios. And she has, I love the fact, one of the things that I've always been important to me in the Juneberry Choral program is that we're an intergenerational program and that we're about learning, we're about developing, we're about finding our way forward to whatever everybody's next step is, right? So I'm really excited to be working with Anna on this film, and she's working with 2 different mentors to create this film for our release. And the idea that she and I have talked about is that the film will follow an arc, and we'll start with some interviews with chorus members from before rehearsals even start. And then the first piece that we'll be rehearsing is called, it's an old ancient text from Julian of Norwich with a brand new post-pandemic setting. Can I say post-pandemic? Post-start of pandemic setting. Post-pandemic initiation setting. And she, Adrienne Inglis, this composer, is part of a C4 collective, which does very innovative choral music way before the pandemic. That's kind of what they do. So they jumped on this idea of, well, how do we make music with Zoom? And she created a piece that has a video and where the sounds overlap. So as it's aleatoric is the fancy word for it, if you'd like it. We never know when people will start singing. Each member of the chorus has a role in part as a composer by listening for when their voice needs to be added. And then, so we'll practice that for several weeks, and then we'll have a week of recording that piece in small groups, various small groups. Yay, Lucinda, welcome. And I'm so glad that your husband is along for the ride. That's cool. Sorry. I'm easily distracted. It's kind of squirrel, chat. So that will be the first piece, and it's a short piece, but it'll be a great chance for us to practice recording, to practice Zoom rehearsals, and to get our voices back into shape, because it's been a while since maybe some people have been singing regularly, but some people Some people haven't. And so then the next piece is actually one that I'm really excited about. It's a virtual choir piece, but we're doing it sort of in partnership with a Welsh choir. So I've never sung in Welsh, so that's really exciting. The text is about being a choir still, despite all of what's going on, that we still form a chorus. It's a gorgeous piece with all kinds of suspensions and things, and they've set up the virtual choir recording opportunity in a very friendly way that I really appreciated. I've participated in lots of virtual choirs over the summer, and I found this one to be really accessible and easy to sing freely and openly when I worked with the recording. So then the next two pieces, and Kathy Baker, I see your question, and I'm going to answer this. You can hear already how participants who are far away from my location could be part of this up to this point, right? Everything's been on Zoom. Everything is being recorded and sent over the internet. It's all online. So you can be anywhere to participate. The two body percussion pieces have a little bit different story, and I'll get to that just at the end of this when I describe them. The first piece will be with our pianist, Brenda Chien, who is another person that we're collaborating with. She's making recordings of Odeon, which is a piece by Brazilian composer Ernesto Nazareth. And it's kind of like a ragtime feel. It's very upbeat, very happy. So as we're moving in the film, we've gotten to this moment of sheer pleasure and joy. And we'll be doing this body percussion, as I said. Claudia Rajanato is going to be coming and helping and coaching us and helping us get the body percussion so comfortably in our bodies that when we do this, it will be a pleasurable experience. And I can answer more questions about the body percussion. I know there were some people who had questions about that. I'll answer more questions about that later. But so that piece, and then the next one that she and I are composing together, which is based on a text by Arundhati Roy, which says, "Another world is not only possible, she is on her way." I can hear her breathing. When in the quiet, I can hear her breathing. I can't remember the middle part of that quote. Fortunately, we have many weeks to practice it before I have to be able to remember it. But it's based on that quote. And so these two pieces, so there's going to be humming, there's going to be a little bit of spoken word, and it's very mystical and magical feeling. The music is incredibly, to me, it really touched me to hear it, as far as it's been developed so far. So those two pieces we're going to film in the Lebanon Opera House. And that filming will be done with people masked and socially distant for all of the people who are able to be present. And we can talk more about the precautions we'll take. We'll do everything in accordance with whatever is best advice at that moment, right? I don't want to risk anybody for this. It's not worth it. I mean, it's worth wonderful things, but it's not worth a risk of COVID exposure. So we'll be doing that masked and filmed. But for anybody who's not able to be there, and I'm assuming this will be the people who are global, as well as anybody local who is at high risk or feels uncomfortable, we're going to put up the Lebanon Opera House has a huge film screen. We'll put up the huge film screen.
Put in last few years and state-of-the-art technology.
Yes. And we'll put a Zoom call up on that screen with everybody who's not able to be there physically. And when we record it, Our filmmaker, Anna, is going to use a drone that's going to be flying around the opera house, getting everybody. And she will include shots of the screen. And then, of course, she'll be able to also include just straight recordings of the Zoom call to splice in so that everybody is included. And then the final piece will be Amazing Grace, that the audience sings over the chorus humming. And when that happens, the chorus, we will have pre-recorded that. And that will be hummed through, that will be pre-recorded and then put in the film. And when we were presenting this whole idea to the Lebanon Opera House, what's Joe's title?
Oh, the director.
The director of the Lebanon Opera House. He was so excited, and he proposed that come June, when we anticipate the release of the film will be, that if we want to do a premiere screening in the Lebanon Opera House, he thought that would be fun, depending again on where we are. You know, we'll have to just play it by ear. But that sounded like a great idea.
You know, whether it's June or another time, we'll have a premiere for this thing.
Yes, exactly.
And it will be an amazing celebration.
And when we premiere, it will also be online. So all the people who aren't local will be able to invite their friends and their family and do a watch party and sit down and chat back and forth on the screen. I actually think chatting during watching a film is an improvement over, you know, watching the film and then getting together afterward to talk.
Yeah.
Myself.
You know, something I think is so interesting about the program you've created is that, you know, like a concert, each piece has its part of the program and it's part of the concept. But I feel like you've really also paid attention to the medium of each piece, the way that music is being made, and integrated that into the arc. So you're not just doing a Zoom-based piece for the sake of doing a Zoom-based piece, or because that's the only thing we can do right now. It really has that particular format of music making has a purpose in the program as it unfolds. And the same for each one of these things. You know, when you get to the body percussion, it's not just body percussion because that's the only thing we can do. It's body percussion because that's the moment when we move and we make rhythm with our bodies, and you know, we have the joy that comes from that. And you know, you talked about matching the music to that. And I think that, you know, for anybody who's wondering about, well, do I want to do a Zoom-based piece, or do I want to do a virtual choir, or do I want to do body percussion? It really gives you purpose for figuring out what it takes to do each of those things.
Yeah, because each of them really feeds this story of what does it mean to be a chorus during this time. And I know Anna is planning to interview as many choral members who are willing to be interviewed, to really include as well how people are feeling as we move through this process. You know, how are you feeling coming into it? How is the music responding? How does it feel to be singing? And yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, me too. So let me just pause for a moment and encourage, if you're listening and have any questions about anything that we've said, now's a great time to start throwing them in the chat, in the comment boxes. And if you're on the UVMC website watching this and don't see the comment section, click over to YouTube, the regular YouTube page. You can click the View on YouTube button, and then you'll find the comment section where you can put in your questions there.
I'm wondering if now would be a good time to play some of the clips of the pieces while those comments are coming in and the questions are coming in, because there's a delay after you type it before we see it. So, let's start with the Welsh choir. So this is the virtual choir piece. This is just a short clip of the virtual choir piece.
And do you want to do the full choir?
Do the full one first, and then I want to show you how carefully they've set it up to make it welcoming to sing.
All right, so here we go.
Hello there, good
Oh,
wanted
it
to
almost
stop.
went the whole way. Sorry. Andrew, the director of that chorus, made those clips for us on his way back from vacation. So,
That's good of him. What a gorgeous sound.
isn't it gorgeous? It's a beautiful, beautiful piece. So they recorded that as a virtual choir, and it was written again. This is another piece that was written after the pandemic started in response to this situation. And if any of you have done virtual choirs, we will get sheet music. We will get sheet music for, at the very least, the Zoom piece, this piece, and the final Amazing Grace piece. The body percussion pieces, which we will be working on for the whole time, we'll get some sheet music and cue sheets and things. It will look a little different than ordinary sheet music. So let's look at what Andrew created. So they've created videos for you to sing along with when you make the recording of the virtual choir. So some virtual choirs that I've sung with, I've just sung with a MIDI keyboard playing just my part, second soprano. And a MIDI keyboard is just kind of tonk, 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 one note at a time.
Computer music. It's fine.
Computer music. So it was challenging to sing a beautiful line and to feel like I was part of a choral work. And the final product was great. You know, it was wonderful, but it was challenging. So what Andrew has done, Cosworth has done for this piece, is create individual videos for each part that you get to sing along with. And we're just going to play a clip of essentially that same piece of music, but this would be the alto video. So if you were singing alto, you would be watching this video and singing along with it as you were recording.
So beautifully laid out. You can see the music, you can see the conductor, you can see your own and hear your own part.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can hear the whole thing in the piano. You can hear all of the harmonies in the piano. And then I think to myself, as chorus members, you know, when we get to the end of this term and we get to watch the video and we see ourselves singing that for the first time, and it'll be just our chorus. I think that's going to be an incredible moment, because you'll know the song, and then to hear us singing it, I think that'll be really, really powerful.
Yeah. So we have a couple of questions. One about if it will be possible to watch this later. If you're talking about our discussion, yes, it'll be on our YouTube page. And if you're talking about the music, you know, the film will be available on ongoing basis later. And if I didn't mention what you were asking about, write another comment and I'll clarify. Also, some questions about technology. What are you going, as a Zoomberry member, what are you going to need to be able to participate as far as devices or downloading stuff?
Yep. You'll need a computer on which you can do Zoom reliably. You will be most satisfied with your experience if you have an Ethernet cable, which I only got in the middle of this summer. And I was astonished. You know, everybody said, oh, get an Ethernet cable, it'll be much better. And I thought, oh, yeah, right. We've got good Wi-Fi, it's fine. And then our Wi-Fi got a little less good. And I got an Ethernet cable and I was astounded at the improvement. So and it cost $10 or less. It was $7.99, I think. And ours is like a 50-foot Ethernet cable, because it has to go a long way to get from our router to my computer.
Now, I should say, if the words Ethernet cable are new to you and not sure what that is, there is going to be some tech support provided for this offering. So If you need to call somebody and say, what do I do? Or what's an Ethernet cable or anything like that, we're taking that into consideration, and there'll be somebody for you to talk to about that.
Yeah. So the other part that will keep you functioning and going for the bulk of the things. But then when there's an actual recording that needs to be made, you'll need a second device.
Oops, sorry.
Like
pushing buttons here.
Pushing buttons. You'll need a second device, like a smartphone or somebody else's computer or a tablet. And UVMC will have some that can be borrowed at that point, if that turns out to be something that's needed. But a smartphone, actually, a relatively current smartphone, like mine is, I think, 3 years old, has a good enough mic to do this project, and a good enough camera to do this project. So that's one option. Or you can borrow from UVMC, and that's it.
What about headphones? Somebody asked about headphones.
Yeah, headphones, like Ethernet cables, headphones can make it. You will need them for the recording. That's a moment when you will need headphones or earbuds. Earbuds work just as well as headphones. You will need some form of earbuds or headphones, and I believe those will also be available to be borrowed from UVMC if need be. Is that right, Ben?
If you need, we'll make it work for everybody.
Yeah. So you would need headphones for the recordings. For the ordinary rehearsals, it's up to you. It's your choice. A lot of people feel like headphones give them a better sound and they can hear lower notes a little more clearly, but that's completely your preference for the rest of it. And I see Amanda's question about the time commitment, formal rehearsals and individual time. It's a great question. So formal rehearsals will be most Tuesday evenings from September 29th through the first week of March. So that adds up to 17 rehearsals. A normal Juneberry season is 16 rehearsals. So it's one more rehearsal for tech purposes. One more rehearsal, but then there will be some weeks. There are some weeks in there where there's not an official rehearsal, but you will be asked to be spending time during that week recording. I would not suggest that you spend more than an hour and a half making your recording. So the idea is that you have a gap time to fit it into the ordinary rehearsal time. You could spend that rehearsal time doing your recording. But then that adds up to maybe 20 or 21 weeks worth of Tuesday evening rehearsals. In between the rehearsals, this music will need practicing the same way that our ordinary choral rehearsals require practice. It's music that develops, that you want to let it sit into your body. The only way to let something sit into your body is by practicing it, right? And that's, to me, and maybe this is just me, but to me, the practicing is one of the pleasures of being engaged with a chorus. It gives me a reason to sing several times a week outside of rehearsals. And so to me, it was important to choose music that's challenging enough that people will want to come to it between rehearsals.
Absolutely. Could you talk a little bit more about this rehearsal process? And one of the things when you're in person in rehearsing as a director with a chorus is you hear everybody right in that moment, and you hear what's going on, and you can give feedback really directly. Yeah. And how do you envision the feedback and, as the director, the coaching process playing out in this ensemble?
Yeah, so that's tricky, right? That's a tricky thing. Let me speak to the body percussion first, because that's actually the easiest one. With the body percussion, and that's part of why I went to body percussion first, With body percussion, I can watch you on Zoom. And I can see if your body looks relaxed. Because of the lag time, the video lag time, I can't tell for sure whether you're absolutely lined up in the beat. But I can see how your body feels, how well you know it, how easily the moves are coming to you. And that lets me know whether or not I need to spend more time on this section or that section. And the body percussion has different levels. People are able to sign up from very simple to a little challenging to pretty complex to bring it on. Give me whatever you got, you know? So there are all these different levels, and I'll be able to watch people's bodies as we practice that. So that part I feel really confident about, that will be easy for us. And we'll be making videos for you to practice your body percussion along with. Then the pieces that are audio, I'm going to do a couple of things. In between, before we get to the recording, the formal recording, I'm going to have people make initial recordings that they send me that only I hear, so that I get a sense of where you are. And I'm going to ask you to do that probably once, maybe twice for each of the pieces, so that I can hear where you are and I have a sense of exactly what kind of vocal work would be most helpful. Nobody's going to fail out. That's not possible. It's so I can hear it and shape the rehearsals and bring us forward to the next place that we need to go. There also, as I'm watching people on Zoom, and I've been doing this for quite a while now, all through the summer, I've been watching people on Zoom, and you can see, again, their comfort level. You can see their breath support. You can see tension in the face and the neck. And those are all things that as a choral director, I can help. I can then shape our rehearsal to help people free up their voices. Because when your voice is free and relaxed, you're singing on pitch.
Yep. And it sounds like recording yourself is kind of one of the things that I imagine a lot of people don't do on a regular basis. And
right.
And as you talk about kind of hitting it right on the head at the beginning and getting used to that process, like many things that are new to us, you know, after you do it a few times, you kind of get the lay of the land. You're like, okay, this is how I push the buttons to make it work. And this is what it sounds like. And then you enter into that learning process where you realize, oh, if I change this, then that happens. And if I change this, that happens. And then, you know, like once you're going, then it becomes something that you feel like you have control over and that is familiar, so that you can get to that place of freedom like you're talking about.
Yeah. You know, when I started doing these things on Zoom and when I started doing virtual choir recordings, and when I have to say this pandemic has been one of the biggest growth opportunities of my life. Because I had to listen to myself. And I've been doing that for rehearsal recordings, but not as closely as I needed to listen to myself for a virtual choir recording. And singing with other people as I was singing and hearing myself over and over and over again. At first I wanted to quit. I was like, this is miserable. I don't like listening to myself. I'm not enjoying this. And it took me some real intentional time of learning how to view it as a chance to learn, as a chance to listen to my voice without the critic, because the critic wasn't helping. So how could I listen to myself in a way that let me sing more freely and more openly? How could I just have this whole experience in a way that connected me with my voice and with other people's voices? And that has been, it's been crucial, and it has felt like a huge learning jump for me. And I feel like if we sing in a chorus like this, and as a chorus, that's the kind of support that I really want to give my choral members. I want to help you have a process for making these recordings that feels not overwhelming and that says, okay, you're going to do 5 and no more. And then you're going to send it to me. And that's it. That's a limit. And
It's so
we go with what
powerful.
it is.
It's so powerful that you've experienced that, because for everybody who is going to be part of Zoomberry, they get you as their cheerleader and their guide, as opposed to just having to figure it out themselves. And I think that's kind of like a big difference, that, you know, if you're thinking about like, oh, I'm just going to go off and start recording myself and maybe be part of a virtual choir by myself, like, sure, I bet a lot of people can figure it out and do it. But if you had the option to do it with somebody like you, who has been there, has walked the road, has knows what pointers to give you, and above all is your cheerleader going forward, what a wonderful way to do it.
And I think that what will come out of this with is an incredible connection with our own voices. And when we bring that back to whatever choruses we sing in, any of the choruses, choirs we sing in, bringing that back will bring a kind of energy and vitality to those choruses that I think is exciting for me as a choral director, already looking forward to people coming back in, having had this experience with their voices and sort of come to terms with their voices in a different way, and reached a point where recording can be a tool. I see that I want to answer Thomas Scheidegger's question about the unstructured improvisational piece, which is the first piece that I was talking about, the aleatoric piece. And you will see how we rehearse that, Thomas. You will like how we rehearse. Well, no, let me not go there. I don't know if you will like how we rehearse it, but rehearsing improvisation actually makes improvisation much easier. And it's not improvisation in a complete melodic and text, and the melody is set, the rhythm is set. It's just in question of when you start the music and what you hear together. It'll be kind of like singing underwater. You'll get a waterfall feel as you hear other voices sing your part, and then you'll sing your part, and then you'll hear other voices. A little bit like a round, but a round where people don't know when to come in, and it spills over.
And I think what you mentioned there is something that I think is key to most improvisation, which is that it is not totally unstructured.
Exactly.
Like the sense that it can vary is almost always comes along with certain structures that underlie it. And whether it's a set of chords that you're following, or a set of like phrases that you choose when to sing them, or a pattern of notes that you get to choose which note to sing at which time, there's always some limits that become, as it's cliche to say, freeing once you internalize them.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's see if there's some other questions. There's ones about specific contact for tech support, and once we get the chorus going, we'll make sure that you know exactly who to call or email when you have specific questions.
Right. For some devices to use earphones, you need to have a dongle or various things. It depends on what device you're Zooming with. That's the device that you'll need to have headphones plugged in. Most laptops just have a jack that you can just stick it in. But we will get the formal question. Paul Lamb is worried about the drone in the opera house and Anna's driving skills, I think. Will we be wearing helmets? Is that a safety issue? I will let you wonder about that. Yeah. Thank you, Paul.
Be part of the adventurous chorus on the choral experience.
Yeah.
So let's see if you have any other questions about how this is all going to work. Now would be a great time. See if there's any other. I think we've covered most of the important aspects of this.
Oh, I wanted to say one thing about how the Zoom rehearsal actually works, which is that because part of what we're looking to do, part of my job is to help you sing with the freest voice that you can reach while you're recording. So the Zoom rehearsals will be a combination of a fairly lengthy warm-up period and vocal technique period that you're really learning and working on some vocal technique, followed by whatever piece we're working on, and we will work on them sort of sequentially, followed by body percussion, or sometimes we'll mix up the order that we do that in. But we'll have body percussion every week. And I'm wondering if now might be a time to show a clip of Claudia doing her body percussion. So in this is part of the Ernesto Nazareth piece, Odeon, and she's showing 3 of the body percussion parts, the most complex, a medium complex, and a fairly simple one. Mm-hmm. And let's watch it, and then we'll talk about what if I think. So before you see it, I just want to run a caveat out there. Because when I saw it, I was just like, whoa, it looks amazing. She's very good at taking things apart and slowing them down and giving us the way to get into it. All right, let's watch this clip. So that's part of one of the body percussion piece that we would be doing with masks. And if you think you might not like doing the body percussion, I guess I have sort of 2 responses to that. One is that body percussion is older than singing. You start doing body percussion as soon as you start walking. In fact, as soon as you start banging your heels against the floor, when you're lying on your back and you're banging your heels, you're doing body percussion. As soon as you get interested in the sound, I've watched our 10-month-old granddaughter hitting herself on the head. As soon as you're doing all this sort of thing, you're doing body percussion. So body percussion is actually a very natural thing. If you have tried body percussion before and you hated it, this is probably not the chorus for you, right? This is not a good fit because body percussion is a big part of what we're going to be doing. If you haven't tried body percussion before and you're nervous about it, we've got you covered. If you've tried body percussion before and it was really hard and you didn't have a great experience and you were trying to sing at the same time as you were doing body percussion, the good news is with this, you're not singing at the same time. You might be humming some parts, but it's not, it will be structured, it will be built up, and we'll take our time. Claudia and I are both really good teachers. So we will be able to help you find your way through the body percussion.
I have a question about the specifics of
the snapping. If you're not able to snap, Claudia's got alternate things for everything. And she also has alternate moves if you're not able to stand. If we have people who are mobility challenged, mobility limited, she will give you alternate parts. And one of the exciting things that I love working with her is she's going to be coming at least once a month to our rehearsals and to adapt the choreography and see how everybody's doing and make adaptations as we go. So I think that's pretty cool. As for the Welsh pronunciation, as I just said, I'm a good teacher. This is something that I do pretty well. My chorus has sung in Greek, Latin, French, Spanish, German, I know I'm missing
Did you do
something.
Japanese?
Japanese, right? Japanese. I don't think we've done Russian yet. No, yes, we did. We did do Russian. So anyway, lots of languages. I'm very comfortable with teaching languages. If you can say to me, gua, say gua. Go ahead, Ben.
Wow.
Good. Say gu,
Good.
like glad.
Go.
Gua,
Gua.
gwe,
Gwe.
gwade.
Gwade.
That's one of the Welsh words. Hebrew, right? We sang in Hebrew. So that's how we'll learn it. We'll just take it apart into little component sounds and put it back together. I love these questions. I love seeing Kathy Baker's enthusiasm. Yeah, I like getting into the detail. I love seeing the enthusiasm.
And I see somebody had an unfortunate experience with Dropbox, but you know, our philosophy is we'll make it work. So one way or the other, we'll get everybody through the technical elements of this. Well, I think we've covered a ton of ground. Lots of great questions. I'm sure other questions will come up that maybe we haven't thought of yet. And if that happens, again, feel free to get in touch either by email, juneberry@uvmusic.org, or give us a call at the main UVMC number, 603-448-1642. And if by now you are convinced and you want to be part of Zoomberry, which I think another one of the fascinating elements of this is just how ephemeral this whole thing is.
Yeah.
This is designed to be specifically for this next period of 8 or 9 months. And after that, it will be gone. So if you watch the film next spring and say, wow, I wish I was part of that. Sorry.
It's not coming back.
Not coming back. So if you're convinced at this point, you can see the website, uvmusic.org/Zoomberry. You can go there to sign up or to see more other information about it, some specific dates about schedules and all kinds of other details.
And the only equipment that you will need for the first week is a computer that runs Zoom, that you're able to participate in the Zoom rehearsal. All of the other equipment needs won't come up until 4 weeks in, the fourth week in, fourth week in. So if you have equipment, and I will give you the list of equipment.
Great. And rehearsals
probably the week before. So rehearsal starts September 29th, and September 28th is the day that we'll make the decision as to whether or not we have enough people to run the program.
But by all means, don't wait until then to decide.
Oh, please. Oh, my goodness. My heart.
Patricia may not make it.
I may not make it. Yes, if you are interested and you're ready to sign up, I would love to see your registration in 3 minutes. It would be so comforting to me to know that we have, that it's a go.
Well, and then the energy can go into really making sure that.
Then I can focus on some other things.
The music.
But also one of the things that's really cool about this, because it's on Zoom, because it's online, is that we can take as many people as want to join. So if you have daughters, parents, friends, siblings who want to explore this kind of thing and you want to do it with them. So maybe they live in Kentucky or I don't know, Texas, anywhere in the world. If they can get up at whatever time they need to come to these rehearsals, they can come be part of it. And so you can share this experience with far-flung friends and family. And you're welcome to send the link on to them and encourage them to come. We need at least 40 people to run the program, Lori, to make it financially work. Kathy Baker says, she's in. We'll break new ground. That's it. Do they have to be able to match a pitch? That's a good question. I think if they're comfortable matching pitch, that's probably best, because I can't work with people individually the way that I've done in the chorus and helped people in the chorus. So I think, yes, I think I'll just say yes. Matching pitch would be a useful skill, because you're going to be learning all this on top. And if you're learning to match pitch as well at the same time, I think that would be overwhelming. I think there would be better places to start with pitch matching.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I think that's a great place to wrap up. And thank you, Patricia, for conceiving of this and doing all the hard work to get it put together. It's an amazing vision. And
I want to also thank you and Aaron and Becca at the UVMC. That the support that I'm getting to run this is amazing, and it would not be happening. I tell you all, it would not be happening without the UVMC staff. Anna just wrote in a thank you to us. Anna King is a delight. I'm really excited to be working with her. Claudia is one of my favorite people. Joey, oh my goodness, you're going to be blown away when you hear Joey sing. Brenda is I'm so glad that we had a role for Brenda to play in this. And it's exciting to work with the Lebanon Opera House, who's excited about having it. It just feels to me like there are so many pieces coming together and so many people involved making it work.
Yeah.
I'll shut up now.
It's going to be really cool. All right. Well, we'll say goodnight to everybody now, and we look forward to seeing you on Zoomberry, and over the course of the next year. And in the meantime, keep making music.
Thanks so much for coming. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
And thank you, Ben.
All right. Good night.
Good night.